In this section, we will take a broad overview of other non-structural elements and materials. 2019 CBC Requirements for Chapters 24 through 33 Non-Structural Components. Chapter 24 covers glass and glazing. Section 2403.1 requires that each pan must bear the manufacturer's mark designating the type and thickness of the glass or glazing material. Continue on CBC Chapter 24. It is important to verify glazing edge clearance requirements per Section 2403.2.1 and Table 2403.2.1. CBC Section 2407 talks about requirements for glass in handrails and guards. There is IR 24-1 to clarify requirements for glass panel ratings. CBC Section 2407.1.2 states guards with structural glass baluster panels shall be installed with an attached top rail or handrail. Exception to required top rail or handrail is such when these baluster panels are laminated glass with two or more glass plies of equal thickness and of the same glass type, and the panels shall be tested per ASTM E2353, ensuring baluster remains in place. CBC Section 2410 talks about structural sealant glazing, abbreviated as SSG. SSG test and inspection shall satisfy requirements in Section 2410.1.2. Construction documents shall show structural details of glass and curtain wall system per Section 2410.1.4. There are 14 items. CBC Chapter 25 covers gypsum boards and plaster. There are minor changes to Model Code. Balance of California amendments carries forward. Referenced standards: ASTM C A41 interior lath furring for gypsum plaster, ASTM C 1063 lath furring for cement plaster, ASTM C 926 cement plaster. CBC Section 2503 covers lath and gypsum board inspection. CBC Section 2507 covers lathing and plastering. CBC Section 2510 covers lathing and furring for cement plaster or stucco. Woven wire cell furring lath often requires spatial inspection techniques, for example, furring nails. Installation method is subject to a satisfactory job site demonstration. Must be furred out 1/4 inch. See DSA IR 25-4 for more information. Penetrations in building paper must be thoroughly patched and waterproofed. We all understand that plaster stucco is pervious. The building paper is the water barrier. This photo shows a penetration through the exterior wall. The wallpaper has to be taped around the penetration to prevent the water entering through the penetration and causing dry rot to wall framing. CBC Section 2504 covers requirements for vertical and horizontal assembly of gypsum board, gypsum panel products, or lath and plaster. Section 2504.2.1 requires nails with annular or spirally grooved shank, or alternatively common nails with supplemental wire ties. CBC Section 2507.3 specifies the DSA amendment for the lath attachment to horizontal wood support. In addition to attachment requirements of ASTM C 1063, number 9 gauge ring shank J nail are required. This picture shows a typical saddle tie detail. Several things to note. 1. Saddle tie is required for anything wider than 1/4 inch. 2. Saddle tie has double loop as support. 3. They alternate back and forth to prevent twisting. In ASTM C841 for gypsum plaster lath and furring, Table 1 specifies lath attachment. Table 2 specifies types of lath and support spacing. Table 3 specifies suspended ceiling hanger and runners. In ASTM C1063 for installation of cement plaster lath and furring, Table 2 specifies hangers and runners. Table 3 specifies lath types and support spacing. The following two sections with gypsum board and plaster are not adopted by DSA structural safety. Section 2505, shear wall construction. Section 2508.6, gypsum board diaphragm ceilings. CBC Section 2510.6 talks about water-resistive barriers requirements for stucco. Water-resistive barriers shall be installed as required in Section 1403.2 and, where applied over wood-based sheathing, shall include a water-resistive, vapor-permeable barrier with a performance at least equivalent to 2 layers of water-resistive barriers complying with ASTM E2556 Type 1. Some code exceptions allowed. See ICC AC38 and industry recommendations. Exception 2 states where the water-resistive barrier is applied over wood-based sheathing in climate zone 1A, 2A, or 3A, a ventilated airspace shall be provided between the stucco and the water-resistive barrier. CBC Chapter 26 addresses the use of plastic in building constructions and components. Section 2603.13 specifies the requirements of cladding attachment over foam sheathing to wood framing. Additional requirements for DSA projects can be found in Section 2603.13.3. Always check construction documents for anchorage and support details.